lad.
Look at me. Look at me.
That was a heavy knockout. I'll give you that respect. But you will never knock me out.
I'm going to submit you.
Knock me out.
You'll live. What I'm going to do is
you can't.
I'm going to put it down. But with Putty, I'm really going to enjoy kicking his ass.
I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there.
Sorry, man. I have a hard time believing that Dana White had no clue what was going on. Oh, I was already in the back in the dressing room. Man, you're lightning fast, Broham. You didn't know? Oh, that's not what we do. Then they proceed to post it to all of their stuff. TikTok, X, Facebook. Man, they put this all over everywhere on social media. Yeah, but it's not what you do, right? Right? It shouldn't have happened. Ilya just won a second divisional championship belt, but, you know, that's what your focus is, Broham, not building up the next fight for the next big payday. Nah, that ain't it at all, Brody. Right, got you. Duly noted, compadre. You didn't know. And people wonder why it's WWE type stuff. Look, here's the bottom line. Whether it was sprung or set up or not, doesn't really matter, because most people probably understand the history between these two. Let's get past all of that. Reality is, number one, I've talked about this before, and we just saw this perfect example over and over again. Conor McGregor, John Jones, which, by the way, McGregor decided to chime in. Bro, stop. The attention's not on you. I know you're missing the limelight. It's about that time for you to pretend like you're going to take a fight and then not do it. We know, Brody. The reality is, now at least one division is going to be held up. And it's guaranteed that the fight between him and Patty is about to happen soon. 3 to 6 months, boom, they're going to be in the octa together. That's all there is to it. They're going to be in that cage. How do I feel about who would win? I mean, look, we all know how Patty does, right? He gets out of shape and then he gets in really great shape. Phenomenal shape. But how much longer can you really live by that throughout the course of your career? Number one, it's hard on your heart. Number two, it's hard on your body. Number three, it's hard on you mentally. I mean, he said over and over again, I'd rather just be fat and happy. Then you got another guy, and Ilya, who he just walks around in shape, man. So we'll see what happens. Me personally, them doing that in the cage, it is what it is. I would like to believe that it was authentic. I would like to believe that what we saw was the real deal. And Dana White, maybe he's upset by it, maybe he's not, but I'm sure at the end of the day, he's really not all that distraught, considering all the publicity that they're getting from it right now, especially after what just happened with John Jones. And speaking of course, he got asked about it because John Jones has been all over Twitter saying, look, I was telling people back in November that I had retired. And then you had Tom Aspinall saying, I personally think he's retired. I think he's been retired since November. Now, the conundrum is obviously Dana White has said the antithesis, but really quick here to kind of cap this thing off. If that was the case and John Jones had told Dana White that he was basically retired and Tom Aspinall believed that John Jones was basically retired, well, then how come nobody was defending a heavyweight championship or fighting for a heavyweight championship? We are into June. That was when the announcement was made. Tom Aspinall had already been waiting 19 months as it is. November to now, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. You waited an additional 7 months before you actually released the belt. He was either trying to get his dollars up or get his legacy up. One way or the other. Maybe he wanted to hold on to that belt for just a little bit longer just to antagonize Dana, prove that he could. And Dana White is responsible for all this at the end of the day, by the way. Which, real quick here, here's a clip of Dana White being asked about this just last night.
I don't know, did you see his series of tweets over the last few days inferring that basically he told you guys that he was retired last November and that your efforts to make the Aspinall fight were basically futile?
It's not true.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what you wanted to ask me?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Dana White had expressed when John Jones retired the next day, hey, man, we had the deal done. We had the fight ready to go. But he was singing a very different tune just that very same week on the Jim Rome show. Listen to this.
I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out over the next couple weeks. But yeah, if we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly.
I was going to say, Dana, my last thought on that. How long are you going to wait? I mean, how long is it worth waiting for?
I said a couple weeks.
Couple weeks?
We'll have answers in the next couple weeks.
So not only did he say a couple of weeks, but then he reiterated, if we don't have it done in a couple of weeks, then we're moving on. So what was the tactic here? Was he maybe trying to get John Jones to go ahead and just sign a deal? Was he trying to put pressure on him? Had John told him, I don't think I want to take a fight. I don't think I'm going to fight anymore. I'm just really not feeling this. Was John Jones maybe kind of in the wings trying to decide what he wanted to do, and that was Dana White putting the clamps down? Or was there no deal done? Jones hadn't said he retired, and then Dana came out with this and just said, well, if we can't get it done, then we're moving on. Was he going to strip Dana White of the championship belt? Were there conversations of him telling him, hey, look, if you don't defend, then we're done. It's been too long. I love you, man. I think you're the GOAT, but this ain't happening anymore. Maybe he put his foot down behind closed doors. We don't know. We're never going to know the truth. That's just it. We will never know what really happened with this. Because the other thing, and this is the final layer, I think, and that is maybe Dana is responsible all the way around. Maybe Dana let John Jones play for too long. Maybe Dana should have told Aspinall, go ahead and take some fights and put more pressure on him. Maybe Dana shouldn't have let Jones play with the belt for this long and say, look, we are into January, February. You've had this belt now for over 2 years. You've defended exactly once. You've had an alleged injury. I've given you a lot of leeway, man. I need you to do either this or that, and that's it. But I don't feel like he ever really did. Again, it's a possibility, but I just feel like that never really happened. And I feel like him going on the Jim Rome show was his final way of trying to get Jones to do something. And don't forget, it was only a couple days later where Jones ended up on the podcast where some young kid basically asked him and said, look, what's it going to take for you to get in the cage with Aspinall? And he's like, oh, that's a wild question, bro. Well, that was enough to finally make him pull the trigger and decide to retire a couple days later. So out of everybody, some rando on some random podcast was the one that made John Jones really actually retire. Imagine that. Again, I don't think we're ever going to know the full story. It's my presumption, but I'm just going off of hearsay. If I'm being honest with you, I'm going off of what I know combined with probably some hearsay. And this is a whole lot of he said, she said, and it's old. And it's drama that I personally do not want to deal with. I was an adult man anyway. That's just too much. All right. Speaking of Dana White, still obviously, Jake Paul, he's going to take shots at Dana White for the rest of his life. Who knows if it's just a way to get people to look over here or if it's really authentic and this is what he really means. He's constantly bragging about the paydays and the amount of money that people are making when they are on his fight cards. Here's another cold reality, though. And before I get into this whole deal, really quick here, I'm not going to talk about what I feel about what he said is going on with Dana White and Ben Askren. And I think sometimes things can go a little bit too far. And I think this is one of those instances. Regardless, I think it's very sad what's going on with Ben Askren. If he wants to step up and help, I think that's phenomenal. If you want to know about healthcare in this country, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm simply going to ask you to go and watch a documentary that was made years ago. It was called Sicko, and it was by Michael Moore. And after that documentary came out, he got a letter from George Bush himself telling him, you better stop. So I'm going to leave it at that and just tell you to go watch that. Take it from what you do like, you don't like, whatever. I'm not telling you to agree with anything. I'm just saying go learn a different way of thinking potentially, or go get some information that may verify the way that you feel. Who knows? Regardless, in terms of Jake Paul, the fighter, here we go again, right? Him and Chavez Jr., Jr. was 39 years old, had to put on a bunch of weight. He was notorious for missing weight. It was a cruiserweight bout. What was it? Nobody goes over 200. I think he weighed in at around $198 is initially what they had said. At least that was online. Here's the thing. Since 2013, he's 7-6 as a fighter. And his prime was a long time ago. He hasn't held a major championship belt since 2012. So we are literally talking about basically 13 years of mediocrity, going from one of the best fighters maybe of all time to pure mediocrity. His prime was very short-lived. And when it was over, that was it. I personally would like to see Jake Paul fight somebody the same everybody else does, but who knows if it's ever really going to happen. We all know he fought Fury. He didn't win. We get it. We move past that. We don't pay any attention to it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want to give this man a whole lot of energy. That's why. And I like to watch where I put my energy at these days, especially as somebody who's sober. I'm 208 days sober. I used to put my energy into a lot of stuff that did not matter. To me, Jake Paul fighting somebody doesn't really matter. I didn't even really know about it up until a couple days beforehand, and I am constantly on the internet. I am constantly on social media, and I had no clue because I don't really care. I don't look for Jake Paul stuff. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was the Mike Tyson fight. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I didn't bother. I don't care that he won. I don't care that he fought. I have no affinity for it. I am grateful to an extent, I guess, that if he's going to help out Ben Askren, that it gave him the financial capability to do so. Outside of that, I'm not concerned. And if you really want to vote, I tell people all the time, vote for your silence or with your silence. And that includes on social media. And that'll really help things out. If you want him to fight somebody that's real and authentic, well, then be quiet until he does. And even then, I would still accept an argument that says Chavez Jr. still, even given how poor he's been over the last 12, 13 years, still should have been a good enough fighter to beat Jake Paul. I mean, he's had, one fight in the last 3 years? There's guys that are about that. I mean, that's almost a new norm in all of combat sports. You have guys taking fights now maybe once a year. It used to be, you fought every 3 to 6 months. And way back when, I mean, you don't get to 120-something fights by not fighting. I'll tell you that much. Obviously, there's medical stuff now that happens, right? And we're much smarter in the way that we deal with our athletes, which I think is phenomenal. But I'm just saying we don't fight near as much. So when somebody goes, oh, he's had one fight in 3 years, it's kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of people. Now, granted, you could say, don't nobody want to fight him, and I get it. I mean, just kind of like Deontay Wilder, he hadn't had a fight in 3 years. That fight card was horrendous. It was on a Friday night. There were 4 fights that people had losing records, including one fighter being 0-3, another one was 0-4. Just awful fight card. But it is what it is. You got to make your money, right? Somehow, some way. He won. First time he'd won a fight in 3 years. Long layoff, but it's the state of combat sports as a whole, really. It's almost too big for its britches, but there's still a lot to love about it, and there's still a lot of ways to recover, just like UFC. I've already said umpteen times I don't like a 2-division champion because one way or the other, you got fighters getting held up. I'm just saying. At some point, Tom Aspinall should have, that belt should have been stripped from John Jones. Tom Aspinall should have been the champion, and he should have been fighting Cyril. But it's combat sports. It's all about the next money event. It's got little to do with who's actually worthy or deserving of a championship anymore. It's really all a popularity contest. We're not supposed to be at a pony show. Dana White said, this is not what we do. Well, then stop advocating for it with some of the fights that are being put together. And it starts with, if you want to move up a weight class, you're going to have to wait until that belt is no longer yours, or you're just going to have to give it up. And I really don't want you to give it up because I don't want a whole bunch of paper champions. I want real championships. These things matter to us and to our fans, and they should matter to you. I'm just saying. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you're listening to podcasts. Tell your device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show. I am on YouTube, and I am on TikTok, the RL, the real Drew Duncan. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.